Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. We are a commercial initiative of just two people and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we are getting better. My name is Artem and here is the news. 283 days Ukraine defends itself against the Russian invasion. In his evening video address, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelenskyy criticized recent decisions of the EU and G7 to limit the price of Russian oil at $60 per barrel. He said that it's impossible to call it a big decision to set such a limit, which is quite comfortable for the Russian budget. According to Zelenskyy, with this price, Russia will receive about $100 billion a year. He reminded that this money will go not only to the war and not only to Russia's further supporting of the terrorist regimes and organizations, this money will also be used to further destabilize precisely those countries that are now trying to avoid big decisions. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Moscow will not accept a price cap for its oil, reports Ekonomichna Pravda. He said that Russian authorities are analyzing the situation at the moment. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland, during her visit to Kyiv, said that Russia won't stop export of oil. Victoria Nuland said that harsh warnings from the other states convinced Russian leader Vladimir Putin that the reaction to the use of nuclear weapons would be unprecedented and difficult for Russia, reports European Pravda. According to her, this forced Moscow to resort to the current tactics of war targeting civilian infrastructure, which is unacceptable too. French President Emmanuel Macron said that Ukrainians should make decisions about their borders, reports Hromadske. Macron confirmed Paris' support for Kyiv and announced the sending of additional supplies of weapons. He even compared the current situation in Ukraine with the seizure of Alsace and Lorraine before and during World War I and II by Germany. At the same time, the French president believes that the West should consider how to meet Russia's need for security guarantees if President Vladimir Putin agrees to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine. Macron said Europe must prepare its future security architecture and it must include addressing issues that President Putin has always said about, the fear that NATO is coming to his door and the deployment of weapons that could threaten Russia. The UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly warns that the topic of the negotiations can be used by the Russian president to replenish the reserves of his troops before the start of a new offensive, reports Suspilne. Cleverly said that there was a risk that the troops will actually be used by Putin to train more troops and produce more ammunition and to retool and rearm his damaged armed forces. His warning came after US President Joe Biden said he would be willing to talk to Putin if he was genuinely keen to end the war, which is not yet in sight. French President Emmanuel Macron also said he would continue talking with the Russian leader to try to prevent any further escalation and achieve very concrete results, such as ensuring the safety of nuclear power plants. The General Staff of Ukraine informs that Ukrainian forces repelled enemy attacks near 17 settlements in the Donetsk and Lugansk regions, reports Unian. In other areas of the front line, Russian forces are holding their positions. According to available intelligence, looting and robbery of the local population continue in the territories occupied by the Russian troops. From the local shops of the city of Novakakhovka in the Kherson region, the Russian invaders take away all goods and equipment, including freezers and cash registers. And in Novomykolaiivka, Zaporizhia region, they organized a check of documents of local residents, seizure of personal belongings and household appliances. In addition, in the settlements of the temporarily occupied Kherson region, the Russian invaders forced the local population to send their children to educational institutions to study according to the Russian program by threatening to deprive them of parental rights. The Ukrainian forces shot down an enemy Su-25 aircraft and an Orlan-10 type unmanned aerial vehicle yesterday. If you like what we do and would like to tip us, you can now do so directly to our PayPal. Check out the link in the description to this episode for more details. And as usual, you can subscribe to our Patreon. In gratitude for your help, we will give you access to a series of exclusive episodes on wartime life in Ukraine. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.